And welcome back. Our conversation at this point is with various stakeholders, Marlene, to discuss the state of families as we will be commemorating International Day of Families. Now we have in studio with us the Executive Director of the NCFC, Franisha Augustine. Good morning.
Good morning.
We also have Denise Roberto. She's an ECD and Education Officer with UNICEF Belize. Good morning.
Good morning.
And of course, joining us via Zoom is the Director of the Community Rehabilitation Department, Starla Bradley. Good morning, Starla.
Hi, good morning.
When we discuss families, it's a very broad topic that, of course, involves various concerns, various activities, and of course, outlook and projections in terms of how we're better able to strengthen families. Let's start first of all by perhaps looking at some of the concerns of the modern family in Belize. Perhaps we can begin with you.
Sure, sure. So good morning. Thank you for having us. UNICEF's own advocacy and support for the International Day of Families really is looking at parenting for this year and advocacy for proper parenting practices. And so we support the National Commission for Families and Children for the past couple of years with a National Parenting Task Force that has really led the work in looking at interventions, activities for families, for parenting in Belize.
Yeah.
Some of the concerns as you related to just a while ago, Isani, can look at our navigating the impacts of COVID-19, for example, and what that has done to exacerbate the problems or the issues in parenting in Belize. One of the critical things is really the learning divide and the crisis with children being at home. And with home, for example, some homes are not safe spaces, some communities are not safe spaces, and really some children then are isolated or don't have the support that they would ordinarily have at school to disclose violence issues or to seek support or to get help. So that's just one area, and then we look at the whole aspect of mental well-being and psychosocial support. Parents need that. Parents have lost jobs. Children have lost parents. And so there really is that whole issue of adequate mental well-being, psychosocial support. May is the month of mental health and well-being as well. So in celebrating the International Day of Families, UNICEF is really supporting advocacy for parenting on a whole and support to parenting in society in Belize.
That's such a when you look at a family, the role of the parents so absolutely important. But let's be realistic about it. It's one of the most important jobs that require zero qualifications and literally has to be done for the love of the job. How do you go about helping people to access tools to learn how to be better parents? Pranisha, you want to take that?
For us, it is at NCFC is more so making the information there for them, One of the things that we're working on currently is the parenting show. We have the launching of our parenting show. That is one of the avenues that will be shared with parents when it comes to parenting their child. We look at issues like Miss Denise rightfully said, mental health. We have episodes that target mental health and how you're going to deal with mental health with the children and even parents. We have episodes that target COVID-19, the children being out of school. So all of these things will be shared with them, and we're hoping that they're able to utilize the skill sets that we're displaying to them, no? We also have the parenting guide that is at NCFC, and we've shared that with a lot of people, including schools that have them, so that the information is there for them, so that they're able to share those things with parents.
Yeah. And from your end, Starla, of course, working with community rehabilitation, it's an intervention process at times as well when the family unit isn't as strong as it needs to be.
Indeed, and not just within community rehab, but across the ministry.
Yeah.
We work with families at their most vulnerable points, whether it's child abuse and neglect, domestic violence, working with children who come in conflict with the law. We can never work with just the child in isolation. We have to work with the family. And that's from a social work perspective, where we're trying to impact the person and their environment. So there are myriad of issues that these families come with. And as social workers, we continuously try to work with the families and looking at like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Of course, you have to address basic needs first, but from there, how do you continue to empower these families and provide support, not just to the children, but to the parents to be better equipped or feel more confident as parents and to navigate the systems that do impact the family. So it's challenging, especially given the many challenges that we're facing in society, but it's the focus of the ministry in terms of trying to empower families.
You know, when we talk about country development and where we want Belize to go, I don't think we dive down deep enough to realize that this is where it starts. It's an individual basis, but we're all members of a family, raised and grown and given our belief system and moral structures from parents. This is really, if there's any change that we want to make, where it would start. There have been a number of efforts. I keep on hearing from all of you. You know, you talked about your parenting guide and training. I know UNICEF supports in a number of different ways. There are even, I know, community workers who go into communities and go into households and teach families how to play with their children in early childhood development. Let's talk about some of the things that are ongoing, that have been working, but that you need more people to buy into. Who wants to start?
Well, I'll start with, given that you touched on early childhood development and you know that that's my passion. Indeed, when we invest in children in the early years, the first 2 years, that's really very, very critical, and it sets the stage. So the ministries and the government of Belize are looking at expanding and rolling out a national program for reaching more families on the ground. And one such way would be incorporating care for child development through a home visiting program. So what you alluded to was the roving caregivers program that's being implemented in rural areas, Toledo, as well as in Southside Belize City. But with the investment of 3 line ministries, Ministry of Education, Health and Human Development, the Early Childhood Development Technical Working Group is looking at expanding to a home visiting program where all pregnant mothers are reached and where all children between the ages of birth to 6 years old will be reached by home visitors who will be trained. So this is one initiative that UNICEF will be scaling up with the government of Belize to impact and to create early childhood development access.
Help us understand the difference between the outcomes. If there's this investment made in the first 2 years versus what a lot of parents are forced to do, which is either daycare, babysitter, or tablet or TV. What's the difference in the outcome for the child if you invest in doing the activities suggested?
Definitely. There is less violence. Usually, if we have parents trained and understanding that child development starts from very early, and that a child who may spill that cup there that you have on the table at 2 years old is not really being rude, but is exploring and learning, and therefore then we don't hit children, because the multiple indicator cluster survey does show that children between the ages of 3 to 4, I think like 65% of children between that ages have been violently hit. And so we have a high incidence of violence in early childhood. If we invest in children at an early age, then there will be a reduction in violence, because parents will be playing, communicating, understanding child development, and working with children. That's just one. Another outcome would be that children will have better economic benefits. When we invest in children early in their language development, learning, play, cognitive development, then these children stay in school and we have a better return in investment. When we prepare our trainers in care for child development, we speak about the Jamaica study, for example, that shows that children who receive stimulation, as early stimulation, as well as proper nutrition and interventions such as ECD, then have a better return in economic chances later on.
What is interesting is the fact that for whatever reason, we tend to focus more on primary and secondary.
And little on early childhood, indeed.
But early childhood development is perhaps the most critical of them all, because those are the formative years for children. That's when they're able to absorb as much as they can in terms of learning and in terms of being able to interact.
Yes.
And probably that is why, too, it's important for us to share the information with the wider society, because I believe that we think that it was okay, our parents did this to us back then, and we turned out to be proper citizens, but is that really true? If you look at what's happening now, you know, so it's something to really and truly look at.
Anisha, I use that example all the time. When people say, we turn out okay, I say, well, let's look around for a moment. How satisfied are we with where we are today?
Exactly.
And one reality, and Starla, I think you can maybe get into that one, is when we see children ending up in the system. It's not the desired outcome, but it does happen. Let's shed some light on that end.
Indeed, when families, the children ending up in the system is the product of families experiencing all the different various frustrations and stressors. And the challenge that we've been facing, quite honestly, with children entering the system is engaging parents in the intervention process as well. That's been one of the biggest challenges. And you know, even if a child is removed for child abuse and neglect, or they end up coming in conflict with the law, children still need their parents, they still need family support, they still need that connection. And the hope is always to reunify children with their families. And that is the goal of the entire ministry. But when that isn't possible, the impact that that has on these children, these are lifelong impacts as well. So it's very difficult, and quite honestly, that's one of the biggest challenges right now, engaging parents in the process. Quite often it's the child has the problem, or the child is displaying these behaviors, but getting the parent to see and understand how what's going on in the home is actually impacting the child, and getting them to understand that, you know, the intervention has to be across the board, like the family dynamics, issues within the home have to be addressed. That's often a challenge. It's possible, but it's often a very slow process because of the way we're socialized, and maybe all the intergenerational traumas that the parents themselves have experienced. So that type of change and engagement is definitely challenging, but it's a slow process. But once you get them to that point, it, you know, it's really wonderful to see that.
Yeah. And you have two there may be more, but you have two categories of children who end up in institutions. Some who come in conflict with the law, and some who've been removed from families for safety issues. Let's for a moment focus on what happens there at Hostel. I know there is a move, if you can tell me where it is now, to be able to remove the option to commit your child for what was once deemed uncontrollable behavior. A very nebulous term that, I could just say, I can't deal with them, they don't listen to me, here, put them in Hostel.
Well, the last time I was on the show, we were, yes, in that process of pushing through the legal amendments. And I'm happy to say that our minister, Dolores Valderramos Garcia, presented that in the House, and it was passed on December 17th. So the situation now is that the Certified Institutions Act, which allows parents to go to the court and say that they cannot control their child and they want to put them in the hostel, that has been removed. What happens now is we're looking at it more from a child protection standpoint, where once the family comes into the court or to the police or directly to the department, we try to intervene first. So hostel is the last option rather than the first, right? And now we have provisions under FACA helping us, because there will be some parents who will come in and they will voluntarily work with you, right? But there might be those who, they just want the issues with the child to be fixed and they don't want any part of it. But if we do our assessment and we see that, there are some child protection issues, there are some parenting issues, then if they don't want to work with us voluntarily, we have the option to go to the court to seek a supervision order, which then gives us the support of the court to then say to the parent, these are some conditions that we need to put in place. In those instances, if the parents still don't comply and the behaviors of the child put the child at risk as well, because there are some parents who do try with their children, but just because of circumstances, issues, and maybe the family dynamics, lack of supervision and support that family has, the child's behaviors might be putting that child at risk of harm. Then we would opt to, as a last resort, put the child into the institution. But we really try to work with them in the community voluntarily first. That's always the best option.
Let's look at this from the reality of what we know today. The poverty rate is around 60%. That's a guess. The census rolls out soon. A parent at times maybe wants to be a good parent, but also knows the basic instinct is to provide what is necessary for survival: food, shelter, and whatnot. Sometimes they're occupied with work. They have to leave the 2-year-old with the 9-year-old. They have to put them with a babysitter, maybe that they haven't had the chance to vet, or a family member. How do you intervene when it is a matter of simply being able to choose survival over what will make you a better developed child? Who wants to take that one?
Well, I can start in terms of just how we work with families in our case management process. There might be some families who indeed they need support, and we do have a division under the Women's and Family Support Department that focuses on family support, but the provisions under the different the various types of assistance that we can access through the different departments is what we use to support parents. So let's say, I'll use the example that you've given, Marlene. This parent, single parent, needs to work, has a 2-year-old, has a 9-year-old, no family support. They need to go to work. What do? They leave the children at home alone. In cases like that, when you go in and you find out, you do a proper assessment and you find out what the issues are, the first thing is not to remove. The first thing is, okay, how can we support this parent to better take care of and provide for her children? So in those instances when we're working with families, we're able to support with babysitting. We're able to support, let's say, this person wants to do some skills training. It will take 3 months to get that certification before he or she can get a job. But they need childcare for that period. So we would actually help them to pay a babysitter for a period of time. It's for a period of time, like it's initial, like a few months first, and then based on an assessment, if it needs to be extended, it is extended case by case. So we do provide that level of support depending on the dynamics, the issues that the family brings. Sometimes it's medical assistance, sometimes it's food, even though they're working. We even provide rent assistance to the families that we work with. And again, it depends on the needs, right? We don't cover everything. It has to be where they take responsibility as well, and it is understood that we are working with you to help to empower you. You're going through a crisis and we'll support during this period of time, but the goal is always to help them so that they don't need us anymore.
What do you see more often? This situation happening in single parent households, or do you find that there are in fact situations that involve kids in this particular scenario that have both parents at home with them?
Quite honestly, Sani, it can be single parent, it can be parents with both parents, any household. Right now, because of the economic situation, and depending on the level of income that the breadwinners or the parents bring into the home, we have what we call a lot of people who are considered to be the working poor. They're working. They have a job they go to, whether part-time or for a full-time, but the amount that they make, considering the cost of living, considering rent, considering high school fees if they have several children to provide for, it's a very difficult situation. So it doesn't matter. The face of the family really doesn't matter. We're seeing it across the board.
Yeah. So looking at the focus of families, the day itself is the 15th of May. How do you, I mean, it's so perfectly timed. It goes from Mother's Day to Family's Day, and then we're going to move into Father's Day celebration, right?
Not as an afterthought.
Everybody. you got a buffer, right? Somebody has to go first and last. But I think the idea is that you bring the focus back to the families. And I know there are Belizeans across this country that have said, you know, we got to work on strengthening our families. So how do you use the time to, whether it's parenting or working with children, stimulating children at a younger age, or even, you know, your adolescent children who can be challenging to deal with, how you encourage them as well? How do you put it all into perspective in this time?
Well, basically, it's just for us to provide it, no? Provide whatever information we can to them. For example, right now, the theme for this year's International Day of the Families is Families and New Technologies. So what we're doing is that we're utilizing technology, more so our social media pages, to get our young people involved. And we know that they're loving these challenges, so to speak. So we try to find alluring ways for them to be able to participate and be able to appreciate what they have. Currently, we have the longest marriage challenge, whereby they're going to post a picture, even a video, stating why or how long these two people have been married. Maybe it could be their grandparents. And their grandparents will say, reasons why, how were they able to be married for this long? We have the single parent challenge.
I
where
wonder,
we are-
what type of years are you getting these days?
Well, so far we have somebody who has been married for 50 years.
Wow.
Yes. So we also have the single parent challenge, and it could be from the single parent being the dad only or the mother. We have a lot of different challenges on our social media pages trying to get them involved, the children involved. For parents now, we know there are some who are not technologically savvy. So we will be hosting the International Day of the Families activities at the Battlefield Park, where they'll be able to go there physically, and various information will be shared with them. I don't know if you want me to go over that now, but that's just one way, you know.
And the support level from UNICEF?
Well, I'm sorry. We indeed have been supporting technically and financially over the past years. There is a National Parenting Task Force, as I shared, which has different stakeholders from the government of Belize, technical officers from health, education, human development. We have Restore Belize, we have the Belize Family Life Association, for example, other parents, technical people from CRD. And so these stakeholders all work in parenting interventions. They all contribute to the National Parenting Guide, which is the content for the parenting show that Franisha spoke about that will be launched. And so our technical work will continue throughout the year in various interventions to reach parents. Last year, with the support of all these stakeholders and with our technical and financial resources, I believe we reached over 1,500 parents directly with interventions, with support, with knowledge, with content.
How do you teach people to parent? Like, what's actually in the parenting training that you talk of?
Definitely, we have different topics that range from early childhood development through to adolescence across the life cycle. When we look at parenting, we're looking across the life cycle. And so the stages of development, it's important. We look at gender norms and gender transformative approaches and those sorts of interventions. Education, it's all structured with the rights, within the rights of a child and the rights that children have to survive, to be protected, to grow, to thrive. So those are some of the topics: nutrition, hygiene, care, definitely violence and preventing violence, and support strategies, strategies for communication, strategies to support parents. Referrals, services that are available, because rightly so, parents are becoming parents at young age.
Well, that was going to be the next question I was going to ask. Should we, and I don't know if this is in the works, but at least Wayne, opinion, should we start to introduce some of this information from high school or tertiary level? At least we're teaching life skills, and it's important that people at least have some other foundation. Is that somewhere in the thought for the future?
Well, I was thinking that it was already in there.
Okay.
Yeah. I know at the primary level, you try to teach them ways as to how they should wait until marriage. But we know that at the end of the day, though that is what we would like, these children are exposed to a lot. So it's built upon at the secondary level.
For you, Starla?
Sorry, Marlene?
Yes, I was getting your way in on that, if we should maybe introduce some of these parenting lessons from high school.
It would definitely help. I think some of the aspects might already be infused when you look at issues of gender and gender norms, probably taking that on a bit earlier in high school and just looking at basic health and hygiene and how do you apply that to caring for others, I think there's opportunity for it.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of young parents, so it would be helpful.
Yeah. So let's just close off, I guess, with talking about some of the activities that are coming up in celebration of International Families Day.
Yes, so we know that on Friday of this week, collaborating with Channel 5, of course, we will be having the cooking show.
Yes.
Whereby we will have an NCFC family on the cooking show talking about how they parent or how some of the challenges that they go through while parenting their child.
Yeah.
On Friday as well, we will also be having a motorcade. Now, the motorcade is just to have the wider society know what exactly we're going to do the following day. So far, we have participation from NCFC, of course, Women's Commission, the Department of Youth Services. We also have from DHS and CRD. So that's what we're going to have on the Friday. So we'll start off with that motorcade. On D-Day, which is this Saturday, we will be having the Family Fun Day at Battlefield Park. We have participation from DJ, Sagicor, Ministry of Health and Wellness, Belize Family Life Association, and also the Department of Youth Services. So all of these departments will have a booth there whereby they're going to share the services that they offer. So again, that's aside from having activities, fun activities for the children. So we have Miss Lurleen Gamboa, who is going to be the MC there. And again, we have, like I said earlier, different activities. We'll have the basketball games right in a little area. We will have some online games for them to play, and again, they will have their prizes. We're also hoping to also have the individuals that will or would have won the challenges to claim their prize there. Now going to our donors, we have collected so far, or we have on the list James Brody's, and again we would like to give thanks to them. They are donating gift certificates. Bowen and Bowen, they have donated items to us as well. Sagicor, Suncast, they have donated gift baskets. Smart have donated a cell phone, so somebody will have a new cell phone quite soon. Atlantic Bank have donated cash, and DG have donated credits. So we have a list
of prizes.
Yeah, a lot of prizes. And if anybody else would like to donate, we'll accept it freely.
All right. So there's a motorcade, there's the cooking segment that we have on Friday, and then you have a motorcade, and then on Saturday, Battlefield Park.
Yes.
You'll have activities in other districts too, or just Belize City?
Well, we're going to be live. We wanted to do the radio show. However, it's not working the way we would like to. So we'll do the live streaming, whereby it will be, once they have internet access, they'll be have able access to it. Yeah.
Okay. And as we close off, go ahead.
Lenny, just to share what the ministry is doing as well, on the actual day, May 15th, that's the Sunday. For a long time, we've wanted to rename the Youth Hostel. So we will be unveiling the sign and the new logo on Sunday at 1 p.m. at let me announce the name now.
Please.
And this is a very special name. It's special because the kids from the institution came up with the name. It's going to be called New Beginnings Youth Development Center.
Nice.
Like I said, and please just allow me to read a little paragraph from their submission.
Yes.
We believe this, put on my glasses. We believe this new name clearly states what is expected of youth. We truly believe that for the first time, the name will represent something to the youth who come here and will give them time to think about why they are here, and they can spend their time occupying their minds with positive things that enrich their mentality. When you hear the name Hostel, in your mind, your conscience starts to wander and you think it's a jail or a terrifying place where children are being locked away. But once we change to the New Beginnings Youth Development Center, people will know that this is a place where children come to change their lives and their personality and become someone better in life than they were and be successful and accomplished. We want the outside world to know that we have talented youths. We want the youth to leave here with positive minds and good behavior. We want them to cooperate here so they can cooperate out there. The reason why we've called it the New Beginnings Youth Development Training Center is because this place provides us with the skills necessary for us to have a fresh start, no matter who we were before. This place should be a place where we have the ability to create a new beginning for ourselves. For example, we can work on our education and further our skills, so when we return home, we can do the right things and do what was learned at the New Beginnings Youth Development Center. And so
That's beautiful.
I know.
Yeah.
yes,
That is beautiful.
both our ministers will be there on Sunday, and we're making it a big affair because it is International Day of Families. So we're inviting the families of these children to come and be there. We'll have games. The kids and the staff are so excited. They're already planning their program and they're making their own decorations. We'll have games for parents and children. There will be a raffle. And the thing that I like best is the photo booth. We'll be having a photo booth on site that parents and kids can take pictures and make memories, and they'll be printed instantly. So, you know, the child gets one, the parent gets one. It's going to be a fun day, and we are going to celebrate. So we're looking forward to that.
So the new name is New Beginning Youth Development Center.
Yes.
That is very fitting, and I think you said it was that paragraph that you read was from a resident.
It's from actually a group of residents came together and came up with the name and wrote the submission.
Nice.
So in the press release that we send out next week, we'll have more details.
All right.
So yes, the kids who are there now came up with that.
All right. Well, we gotta close off, and so I just want to give you an opportunity to say one quick tip to families at home, what they can do to strengthen their bonds together. You start us off, Starla.
You know, just take time to talk to your kids and listen to them. Even if it's their stories, what they're watching or listening to on social media or on the TV or a show that they're into, just listen to them.
Yeah.
And mine would be the same. And I always go back to my little brother. Sometimes we have a very full day at work, and in the evening he wants to tell you, especially since school recently opened, he wants to give you details. This is what happened when I walked through the gate. And then he wants to give you all the information that happened in the order that it happened from beginning to the end of his day. And it's for us to just listen. We need to be able to listen. Yes, we're tired, but it's important for us to just listen to what they have to say. Eventually, you will find that when they're a little bit older, they'll be able to come and talk to you and tell you whatever issues they're having. So it's important for us to listen to what they're saying, even if you're tired.
Well, for me, it's play a game. Play snakes and ladders. Play checkers. Play Monopoly. Some children, it may be not easy for some to speak or for parents to talk. But if you play a game, you're going to get to laughing, you're going to get to some cheating, you're going to get to some playing, and there's going to be interaction, and that really helps. So play a game together.
That's we thank you so much for those closing tips. And we appreciate the conversation this morning, reminding us of the need to focus on building and strengthening families.
We thank you.
Best of luck with your activities. We are going to go ahead and take a break. One activity you could do is play basketball together, right? We're going to find out more about the Sprite competition being hosted by the police department after the break. So please stay tuned.